Welcome back. Today we are going to dig deeper into Psalm 119. And when it comes to Psalm 119, you could actually dig really deep. This is the longest psalm in the entire book. And in fact, I want to jump right to page 29. Question number 2 under the dig deeper gives us a little bit of this info. It says that Psalm 119 is the longest psalm in the book with 22 sections paired to each of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. So the ones that are in our pathway for today basically line up with the Hebrew equivalent of the letters M and N. And so each section would kind of be an acrostic like that, built off of these letters. And that's just some fun trivia that you can impress your friends with. But part of what I find so fascinating about that is it's not just like rambling and he didn't know when to quit and ended up writing the longest one. No, David sat down intentionally, carefully crafting one of the greatest poems, one of the greatest songs, one of the greatest prayers ever written as a love letter to God's Word. And so it says in this question, in the beginning of section 4, review Psalm 119, 97 through 110 for words and themes that tie it together. Now, I realized answering that question myself, it might be easy to miss some of that until you realize that throughout Psalm 119, he actually uses a number of different words to describe basically the Bible, God's Word. So he uses things like law, command, testimonies, precepts, way, judgment, statutes, and one of my favorites, path. All of these words, all of this creativity, sometimes because he's trying to match the Hebrew letter, are built around the idea of how much he loves God's Word, how much he loves his law. Okay, so when I think about this question, when I'm trying to find those words, one of the things that seems strange to me is like, who says, I love the law? Like, one of my favorite things is obeying the law. And yet, when you see the kind of wisdom that David has learned from this, you see the way that it has impacted his life. And to be honest, when I've experienced that for myself, like what happens when I've got a decision to make and I think, this is maybe not what God would desire, and this is, I actually do find more joy in going on God's path than on my own. In fact, one of my favorite verses in here is verse 105. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. You see, what that means is when I'm thinking about my life, what's going on in my life, what I'm going to do next in my life, God is telling me that his word actually lights the way. Whatever is going on either side of the path, and I don't know about you, but right now it feels like every day that stuff is changing. Things are whizzing past us, things are shifting, things are rising, things are falling. But God's word lights the path, and that doesn't change. There's a lot of comfort in that for me. In fact, the rest of that question says, if you like, choose another section or two in Psalm 119 to discover some of the same themes. So, one verse that I found that helped me think through that, all the way back in verse 32, it says, I will run the course of your commandments. I will run the course. You know, I don't know about you, but there's so many times in my life where I feel like I'm not totally sure what's ahead. I was planning for this, but then this happened. And sometimes those are the things I end up wanting to talk to God about. And while I can't always see what the next step is, I realize there is wisdom clearly in his word that I can lean on that actually gives me freedom. Rather than God just being a big rule-giving God and he says, you can only go on this path, what I realize is because he lights that path clearly, I can run in the way that he has designed for me to run. So today, I'd like you to hear a song that's actually written right out of verse 105, that your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. And as you listen to this, maybe think about ways that you've been seeing, even in this pathway, that encourage you to walk the path and even run on the path that God has lit up for you. And we'll see you next time.
Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. When I feel afraid, I think I've lost my way, still you're right there beside me. Nothing will I fear as long as you are near. Please be near me to the end. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I will not forget your love for me, and yet my heart forever is wondering. Jesus, be my guide, hold me by your side, and I will love you to the end. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path, and a light unto my path, and a light unto my path.